recording. And I got it pulled up now. Alright. Crack open my other Dr. Pepper before we start recording. Well, we are recording, but before we start the actual video part. What is the view? That's not what I want. Whoops. There we go. Yeah, no, it's good. Okay. Alright, are you all set and ready?
Yes, I am.
Alrighty. Let's do that full screen mode. Yeah, it looks better that way. Alright, so in 3, 2, 1. And welcome to another deep dive. I'm here, Buckblind is myself, along with QQ Bioshock. We are going to be going over the Shadow Priest talents for Dragonflight tonight. I myself have not played much Shadow Priest, played a little teeny tiny bit of Holy, but Bioshock has some good experience in Shadow Priest and will give us a lot of good insight. So,
Yeah. To point out, I don't know the most about PvE, but PvP wise, I've played my fair share of Shadow Priest.
fair enough. Alright, I'll go ahead and get us started. We'll go over just the regular priest class tree here. So it looks like the first talent we've got Renew, which looks like the typical standard Renew. Is a little interesting. That's going to be a class talent. And I guess most priest specs get Renew now, right?
I think Holy has it right now. Disc does not.
Okay. And then Dispel Magic there in the middle, so a little Purge in there, always good to have.
That's definitely a must for PvP and even PvE, I guess too.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And Shadow Fiend. I feel like that's weird to have it this early in the talent tree, but that's nice.
Well, Shadow, you have to get it, and it
Right.
also comes with Shadow Word Death as well. Like you don't have a choice.
Oh yeah, that is interesting. I see that. It's
Yeah.
interesting. All right, so take us through that next section there, the second row there.
Prayer of Mending, instant, nice heal. I don't know if I'm not familiar with the class tree too much. I'm not sure if you'd spec into it because the right side of the tree is pretty heavy on shadow, and the other half is, well, healing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know that I see Prayer of Mending being something you're gonna get as a Shadow Priest.
I'm sure it takes you out of shadow form, which is not good.
Right. Yeah, and even if it doesn't, unless maybe a Mythic Plus, you might put it on there, but I doubt that that's something you're gonna take as a Shadow Priest.
Yeah. And then next we got Leap of Faith, which is actually a pretty good ability for saving people that are turds.
Or for trying to, leap, pull
Trying
people over and make them fall to their death.
to... When I say turds, I don't mean PvP, basically. I mean, like, people not do mechanics in PvE.
Right.
PvP is totally different. Like, you use it to save people, not necessarily to reposition them. I mean, you can too, but I'm more talking, like, it's really nice to have that button to save someone, let's say a Mythic Plus, if they're standing something.
Absolutely.
The next we have Purify Disease. So you have Dispel Magic, Purify Disease. It just removes diseases from a friendly target, and not a lot of class of diseases. I think it's just Death Knights. And
Gotcha.
maybe is Divine Plague? I'm not sure. I think it's just DK stuff. I don't know if that's back into it at all, to be honest.
Right.
Um, Next we have Shadow Mend, and it's now a 15-second cooldown. It's a short cast, 1.5 seconds, but it's a big heal now.
Okay.
Like, it's healing for 352% of spell power.
But it's pretty big, yeah.
Yeah, so then it's 15-second cooldown. So
What's
nice thing about Shadow Mend.
what's the
What?
current cooldown on that?
There's no cooldown.
Oh, okay. So that's But basically they put the cooldown on it, but it's a much bigger heal now.
Yes.
Interesting. Nice.
The next one is Shower Death. If you're playing Shadow, you get it no matter what. It's your execute, you know.
Right.
It just kind of does mediocre damage, but if they're below a certain amount of health, it hits even harder. It just execute one charge,
Right.
20-second
So, are you
recharge.
putting a talent into Shadowmen then?
Yes, for sure. I'd be
All right.
putting one into Dispel Magic and Shadow Man.
All right. Yep, that's what I've got. I've got 2 talents spent so far.
Yeah. You want to take us through the next row?
All right. Over here on the left side, we have Focus Mending, which increases the healing from Prayer of Mending by 45% just to the initial target.
If it
Again,
it'd be better if it was 45% to everybody, but just initial
right.
targets kind of meh for Shadow still.
Yeah. The next one is Holy Nova, which is the AoE Explosion of Holy Light. Deals 18% of your spell power, holy damage to enemies, and up to 18% of spell power healing to allies within 12 yards, reduced at more than 5 targets. So, again, I'm not expecting to see that, especially not for PvP, because you're not going to need that for PvP, I feel like.
Yeah.
Then we have Move with Grace. Leap of Faith's cooldown is reduced by 30 seconds. So that's kind of nice for Mythic Plus and stuff and raiding.
Yeah. Yeah.
PvE that can, yeah, that'll be,
Makes it a 1-minute cooldown.
yep. Then we
I
have,
would I wouldn't put points in it right now,
gotcha,
but
something to keep an eye on possibly.
yeah, if we have extra.
All right. Body and Soul, Power Word Shield, and Leap of Faith increase your target's movement speed by 40% for 3 seconds.
That's pretty good for Mythic Plus.
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like maybe in PvP, I don't think it's like a priority, but just getting that movement speed bonus might help
Yeah.
out just a hair.
Yeah. For sure.
Especially if you're in trouble, you're leaping of faith to somebody to get them out of getting them away. You got someone else that's getting clobbered, leap of faith them away, so they're out of melee range and they get the movement speed bonus for a couple seconds. Not bad.
Yeah.
All right, then this one we have a choice between Masochism. When you cast Shadow Mend on yourself, its damage over time effects heals you instead and reduces all damage you take by 10%.
Okay, so if you didn't know this, Shadowman right now, it comes at a price, like it says in the tooltip.
Right.
It'll heal you, but it'll do damage to you afterwards.
Okay, so then this basically causes that damage to heal you instead.
And you get the 10% reduced damage.
Okay, so that just makes it a way better, a fully defensive.
Yeah, make Shadowman the defensive basically on a 15-second cooldown.
Okay. And then the other option is Depths of the Shadows, which each time Purge the Wicked or Shadow Word Pain deals damage, the healing of your next Shadow Mend is increased by 2% up to a maximum of 50%. So
that's really good.
Yeah, you could increase that a lot there.
Like if you have Shadow Pain on PvP on 3 or 4 targets in a BG or 3 in an arena, like you're stacking that up pretty quick.
Right.
Every 15 seconds you could have like maybe 25-30% increased heal if you use it on cooldown.
Gotcha.
It's still a tough one because that 10% reduced damage in Masochism is actually pretty good.
Okay.
As well. Yeah.
So you want to put a point in either one of those yet, or hold off for now?
I'll hold off for now.
All right. So Throes of Pain is the next one. Looks like it does different things depending on what spec you're in. So for Discipline, Shadow Word Pain, and Purge the Wicked deal an additional 5% damage. When an enemy dies while afflicted by Shadow Word Pain or Purge the Wicked, you gain 1% mana. Holy, you get Shadow Word Pain, deals an additional 5% damage. And, okay, it looks like all of them actually do the same, other than...
Roughly, yes.
Yeah, so...
Shadow is Insanity.
Yep, so... Yeah, Shadow, you get Insanity, basically, if it dies from Shadow Word Pain.
Yeah.
And then Discipline has Purge the Wicked, works for it as well. So, yeah, it's... I don't know if that's good or not good, but 5%,
yeah. 5% damage buff to Shadow Pain's not that bad.
Gotcha. Just let me know if you're wanting to put talents in any of these.
Yeah, we'll get there.
All right, the next one is Death and Madness. If your Shadow Word Death fails to kill a target at or below 20% health, its cooldown is reset, which is interesting. And
That's
for
pretty good for execute phases for sure,
Yep,
bosses and stuff.
yep. And for Shadow, if a target dies within 7 seconds after being struck by your Shadow Word Death, you gain 30 insanity over 4 seconds.
That's good for Mythic Plus.
I
I'll put a
feel
point in
like
that for sure.
Gotcha. I feel like if Shadow Word Death fails to kill a target at or below 20% health, its cooldown is reset. I feel like that's kind of OP.
Yeah, it's really strong because the Shadow Word Death. I mean, like,
Because that means, yeah, once they're below 20% health, you're spamming Shadow Word Death at that point, right?
well, just twice, right? Oh wait, no,
Um,
you're right.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
not. I
it
thought it
says
was twice.
if it fails to kill them, then the cooldown is reset.
You just spam it. Yeah, I didn't even realize that. Oh, that's
Yeah,
very interesting.
I feel like normally that's something that would work the other way, where if it does kill it, then the cooldown would be reset. I feel like that's in the past
It's
kind of how that normally works, but I don't know.
that's gonna make Shadow Priest compete with Warriors for execute phase.
Yeah, yeah. All
Because
right.
execute has no cooldowns. You got Shadow Word Death no
Interesting.
cooldown. All right, next tree on next row. Um, we have Spell Warding, reduce all magic damage taken by 3%. It's really far into the Holy Tree. I don't see us getting it because you have to get too much healing stuff and you lose out on a lot of the shadow abilities.
Right, I agree.
You got Rhapsody. Every 5 seconds that you do not cast Holy Nova, the healing and damage of your next Holy Nova is increased by 10%. This effect can stack up to 20 times. Again, this is just probably a disc holy thing.
Yep.
I don't see why I Shadow Priest every Holy Nova, like, ever.
Right.
I got Angelic Feather, which is basically put that feather on the ground and you get a sprint increase. That's decent.
Yeah, it's nice
I
for
mean,
movement,
yeah,
utility.
yeah,
It looks like there's a lot of utility in the middle of this tree.
yeah. Um, Next we have Shackle and Dead. Uh, I I don't know. I don't see it being used. Maybe in PvP. Missing Plus, I don't see it being used.
Yeah. Um,
In
the
PvP,
only thing I could see it on is if you have a dungeon where there's a lot of undead. Because, for example, Imprison on Demon Hunters does not work on undead.
right?
I don't know if paralysis works on undead or not.
It does.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, if you've got paralysis, it kind of takes care of that. But I also don't know if this would necessarily work the same way as those. Um,
I just don't see any undeads in the next expansion for dungeons. I could be
that's
wrong.
a
I just
no, yeah,
don't think there's gonna
it's a
be.
good point. Yeah, no, that they might sneak something in there, but yeah, no, I agree. It's probably you're maybe looking at one dungeon that'll have undead, possibly.
Yeah.
But all right, next.
All right. All right. We got next is a choice between sheer terror and void tendrils. Sheer terror increase the amount of damage required to break your mind bomb or psychic screen by 75%. That's that's okay.
Okay,
But void tendrils is probably the better one of the two, and you just root up to 5 enemies in an 8 yard for 20 seconds, or until the tendril's killed.
all right.
So that's a nice route for PvP and Mythic Plus. You root them up. Damage does not break the root by the tooltip. It just waits until the tendril's either killed, which they won't kill it. But players can kill it PvP. But I don't see ads attacking that in Mythic Plus.
Yeah, I mean, I could see some of the ads dying within 20 seconds, especially depending when you do it. But yeah, no, it looks like it's a nice CC there. Yeah, like you said, it doesn't say anything about being broken by damage. I find it hard to believe, but yeah, I mean, if it says that it roots them within 8 yards for 20 seconds or until the tendril is killed, that means that you can. I mean, the fact that it says until the tendril is killed tells me you definitely should be able to attack it and it won't do any damage or it won't break it. So
Yeah,
that's kind
that's
of
what I was
nice,
thinking. So I
especially from a if you have a bunch of ranged casters, you can root them. You can root something that's a melee, and all your
Yeah.
melee just stays out of it.
Yeah. The last one is mind control, and that's actually decent with the talent that's next called dominate mind. I'll let you get to that in a second, but it might make mind control actually worth to get in Mythic Plus.
Gotcha.
But for now, since we gotta unlock the tree, I would go back and pick either Masochism or Depth of the Shadows. I'm probably gonna pick Masochism.
All right.
I think Avoid Tendrils puts me at 5 out of it. I'd also get Body and Soul.
All right.
I
Now,
I personally see.
is that just for Power Word Shield? Because right now we don't even have Leap of Faith.
Yeah, maybe we'll be facing extra talent, but I think the Power Shield fine.
All right.
We need 2 more points, and I went through this briefly a couple days ago, and I came to the conclusion that I wanted to get Massive Spell, which is on the left side of the tree,
Gotcha.
because Massive Spell is really nice for like,
Right.
well, anything really. But I put a point into Angelic Feather
Yep, makes sense.
and Mind Control.
Now, so I feel like Throes of Pain is something you'd want to get because it's just additional damage and
True.
potential
Yeah.
insanity gain.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll have points, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. For now, we'll put Mind Control. Yeah. No,
We can always change it around if we start to see stuff, because it's been a while since I looked at it.
Right. Yeah. No, and I agree with getting Master Spell. I think that's a big tool to have, especially for Mythic Plus.
Yeah.
All right. So, on the left here we have Tools of the Cloth. For 12 seconds after casting Power Word Shield, you deal 10 additional damage and healing with Smite and Holy Nova. Probably not casting Power Word Shield too much, and you're definitely not casting Holy Nova. I'm assuming Smite. Do you even have Smite as a Shadow Priest?
I don't think so.
I mean, if you do, it'll probably take you out of Shadow form, right?
Oh yeah, yep, for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely not something you're going to take as a Shadow Priest. Master Spell, we already kind of touched on that a little bit. It's a Master Spell. It's exactly what it says it is, and it's definitely fantastic to have for Mythic Plus. It's a 45-second cooldown, but it's still really good when there's even now there's several dungeons where just from healing on my priest a little bit, I noticed multiple spots where, oh, okay, I need to use Master Spell here because whether it's either something is on our team, on our party, or whether it's just something on enemies, it's really strong, really good to have. It's kind of like Arcane Torrent, but on a shorter cooldown. And it does have a cast time, so it's not instantaneous, but definitely I think you're getting a point in that, right? Because that's what you said you wanted to do, right?
Yes, yeah.
All right, so I'm just going to go put a point there. All right, the controversial priest ability, Power Infusion. Who do you put that on?
Point then. I put it on myself.
You say definitely putting a point in it?
Yes.
All right, you put it on yourself?
Well, the next talent in the next roll allows you to put it on an ally, and then you get it as well.
Oh.
So for Mythic Plus, it's really nice. You can buff your own pet, or you can buff another pet on like a Demonology Warlock, or you pop it on like a mage or Elisha, anybody really. I used to say.
Yeah, well, I say because like I know right now with Power Infusion, technically you're supposed to put it on whoever your highest DPS member is, basically. That's how it kind of... Yeah. Unless it's a spec that haste is bad for, but I mean, are there any specs out there that haste is bad for at this point? I feel like 90% of the DPS specs, you're stacking haste and verse at this point, it feels like.
And any class could use an extra 25%.
Exactly. It's almost a lust.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, for sure that's a big one. I really like that Twins of the Sun Priestess though. That means you get it yourself, because that's kind of the controversy of that was, why should you have to use your cooldown your
on
offensive
someone
cooldown on
else.
someone else. So having the ability to where it's going to hit someone else and you, I think that's really big because that's going to kind
Yeah,
of not necessarily like, oh wow, it's going to be so powerful, but it's going to take away that, oh well, now I have to use my cooldown to help someone else instead of increase my own damage.
yeah.
Now you can do both. I like that a lot. Next one, Vampiric Embrace. Fills you with the embrace of shadow energy for 15 seconds, causing you to heal a nearby ally for 50% of any single target shadow spell damage you deal. I'm assuming we're putting a point in that,
Yeah.
because that's kind of a core ability for a shadow priest. I feel like, right?
Yeah, it's really good in sticky situations in
I was
Mythic
gonna say
Plus
if
for
it's,
sure.
I was gonna say if it's not a core ability, man, have I played shadow priest wrong. And then the last one over here, Dominant Mind. Um, You may also control your own character while mind control is active, but mind control has a 2-minute cooldown and it may not be used against players. So
So it's like a
I'm gonna need
Warlock's Slave Demon,
yeah,
basically.
I'm gonna need an explanation on this because I've never used really any of that stuff. I thought if you mind control something, then it just fights with you. Do you actually take control of it?
Like right now.
Yeah, how does mind control work? Because I don't think I've ever used mind control.
So you mind control someone, you control their character, but you don't get attacks and stuff. I mean, you can probably auto attack, but I mean, it's to like move them around. Like in PvP, if you're like in a Arathi base and you're in Lumber Mill, you can mind control somebody and then run them off the cliff.
Okay. So in
So
like
you
a
you lose all control of your character. You can't do anything,
okay. See,
but
I
you can
I
control their
always
character.
I always thought that something like mind control worked. You know how in Torghast there's that when you're on like a demon hunter, you have the ability where if you cast Imprison on something, it becomes an ally and fights for you.
Yeah,
I thought it was something like that, where if you mind control somebody, then it just kind of AIs it and attacks along with you as like your pet. I didn't realize
yeah,
you actually take control of the character and lose
yeah.
control of your own. So I'm assuming you wouldn't really want to mind control anything in Mythic Plus.
Well, with this build, it'd be nice to mind control somebody.
I guess yeah. If you use the dominant mind, then you can. So how do you control both your character and someone else's character?
I'm assuming like they just get their basic spells and they'll just cast it at the target no matter what you do. Just like a
So
pet.
okay, so dominant mind will kind of will turn into kind of how I thought it already worked.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, because I had no idea mind control literally makes you lose control of your character.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was how that worked. I thought it already just worked as if it was a pet. So that's
Yeah.
interesting. So I'm assuming right now, you would not use mind control in Mythic Plus because that's pretty
Yeah.
much
Right now, yeah, you're just a DPS loss. Like you're not
yeah.
doing
Well,
any
and it's also, I
damage.
mean, the way Mythic Plus works, as much movement as there usually is, I feel like that's just asking yourself to get knocked out.
Oh yeah. Or die.
Yeah. So I'm assuming you're putting a point in dominant mind then.
For now, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. If we run out of room, we might change that. But
Gotcha.
I'll start us with the next row.
All right.
We got a choice here. Inspiration reduces your target's physical damage taken by 5% after you critically heal them. Oh yeah, good tooltip here that I need to mention. Now that Shadowman's on a cooldown, Shadow Priests do get Flash Heal,
Okay.
which is not on a cooldown, but I think it takes you out of Shadow form.
Gotcha. See,
Uh,
I think they already. I was gonna say, I think you guys don't Shadow Priest have Flash Heal now, but it takes you out of Shadow form.
no, we don't have it
Oh,
now.
you don't even have it. I thought you had. I thought for sure you guys have one of those heals, but it takes you out. It
Um,
takes you out. But it takes
I'm
out of
looking
Shadow
right,
form.
I'm looking right now. I don't see any heals.
Gotcha.
I see Shadowman.
Gotcha.
Okay, or the talent Blessed Recovery after being struck by a melee or ranged critical hit. Heal for 20% of the damage taken over 6 seconds. That's actually pretty good for a healer. Like in PvP especially.
Right.
Makes just that extra heals is nice. Improve Master Spell. Master Spell's cooldown is reduced by 25 seconds and its cast time reduced by 1 second. That
So
makes Massive Spell on a 20-second cooldown
that is nice.
and a 0.5-second cast.
Yeah,
When I
that
went
is
through
nice.
when I went through this before, I did put a point in improved Massive Spell.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially in Mythic Plus. I think um, having something like that, one, you know how I am. I think Mythic Plus, you should just go with Blood Elf for Arcane Torrent. If you have a
Yeah,
priest, you don't need Arcane Torrent because that's going to be up more often and it's going to be
every
stronger.
20
Yeah,
seconds.
that's really nice. I like that.
Yeah. Next we got Psychic Voice, reduces the cooldown save stream by 15 seconds. I see that more as a PvP talent than a PvE.
Okay, yeah, because Psychic Scream, that's the one that's the AoE, makes everything
AoE
fear.
fair. Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
I will say um, that does. Psychic Scream is good for like hard CC, kind of similar to like a stun. Doesn't always work on everything, but there are a lot of the casts that can't be interrupted that Psychic Scream could stop.
Yeah.
Is that a now you? I think you said you have it pulled up. Is Psychic Scream instant cast or does it have a cast time on it?
It's instant.
Okay, so it is kind of, yeah. So it's kind of like that's what Sigil of Misery does for Vengeance Demon Hunter. Is it is a fear, and it breaks a lot of casts. So it's I could see that potentially, especially depending on your group composition. I could see Psychic Voice coming into play on Mythic Plus sometimes, not all the time, but if you need the extra CC, I could see grabbing that being helpful just to reduce that cooldown. Because
I
what's Psychic Stream now currently?
1 minute.
1 minute. Yeah, so having that on a 45-second cooldown, that's not bad. That basically makes it similar to Chaos Nova.
The I would personally I would put a point in it if we're talking Mythic Plus right now. If we're talking PvP, I'd definitely put it in.
Yeah, no,
But
for PvP for sure. For Mythic Plus, I would just say it would be worth it depending on your comp. If you're
yeah,
lacking AoE stuns or some way to interrupt hard cast, then I would definitely want to put a point in there just to reduce that and have that
yeah,
available every 45 seconds rather than a minute. Again, if
yeah,
you're running a comp, if you've got a monk and a warrior or a demon hunter in there already, like if you already got two other classes that have AoE stuns or AoE fears, especially if you have a vengeance demon hunter, now that we're going to have Sigil of Misery and Chaos Nova, then yeah, I don't think you need to worry about it. But
yeah,
if your group is lacking that AoE stun, I think it might be worthwhile. It just kind of depends, you know.
yeah. All right, moving on. We got Twins of the Sun Priestess. Power Fusion grants you 100% of its effects when used on an ally. So that's a legendary that's already in the game, um, but not used by Shadow and Mythic Plus or
Mm,
PvP really.
okay.
So that's just nice. I mean, it's good for every aspect of the game. Rating, Mythic
Right.
Plus, PvP, BG, doesn't matter. It's good for everything.
Right. Yeah. No. 100%. I definitely. So you're definitely putting a talent in that.
Oh yeah, there's no brainer.
All right.
Next is Void Shield. When casting yourself, 30% of the damage refills your powered shield. I, mm, I don't know. I don't think it's that good to be honest. Maybe Mythic Plus the passive absorption, but the shield itself is actually pretty weak.
Gotcha.
I mean,
I would
like
say
it's not.
I've never even heard of Void Shield. or,
It
or
used
is
to be
it?
a talent in Legion, I think.
Gotcha. So it's saying that when you cast Power Word Shield, then 30% of your damage that you deal is refilling Power Word Shield. Is that how that works?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the only issue I have with that is that powered shield's a very weak shield.
Right. Yeah.
My priest is only 260. His powered shield is 3,400. So I don't know
Gotcha.
if it's
Yeah.
getting buffed or not, but it's a weak shield.
Yeah, that does sound very weak, especially for a Shadow Priest.
Yeah.
Maybe as a Disc Priest, because I'm pretty sure Disc Priest
The
powered
this
shield is a
priest.
bit stronger. I feel like I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
this priest actually do damage too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you know that I could see that me maybe being something for Disc Priest, but yeah, I agree. Shadow Priest probably not going to use that unless you need it to
Um.
unlock something.
Yeah. Okay. Next we got Sandlin. Reduces the cooldown of vampiric duration to 45 seconds and increases the healing dump by 25%. So it makes it a minute and 15-second cooldown. Minute and 15-second cooldown. And it increases the healing. Sorry, I got the notification. And increases the healing down by 25%, so it goes up to 75%, which is actually pretty good.
Gotcha. And I just want to clarify something earlier. When I said Vampiric Embrace was a core ability, I was actually thinking of Vampiric Touch.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was thinking of, not Vampiric Embrace. I just realized this is the defensive one because Vampiric Touch is the offensive ability, right?
Yes.
That like puts a dot. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. That's a core ability for Shadow Priest. Vampire Praise, I mean, it's a nice defensive ability, but yeah, it's not a core offensive thing.
Alright, next we got Apathy. Your Mind Blast critical strikes reduce your mark turns move speed by 75% for 4 seconds. That's a good slow.
Yeah, I was gonna say for PvP, that sounds like that would be really good.
I know we'll get into it, but in the Shadow Tree, there's a lot of abilities that increase your Mind Blast damage and critical strike chance. So that slow can be up quite often. And I mean, a slow is good PvP, but it's also good with Blast if you need it.
Right.
So I'd be putting points in Senlin and Apathy for sure.
Okay.
And you can take off the next row.
All right. So then on the left side here we have Unwavering Will, wall above 75%. The cast time of your Flash Heal, Prayer of Healing, and Smite are reduced by 5%. Kind of like we've touched on a little bit before. I don't see that being used by Shadow Priest because you're not using any of those abilities.
Yeah, you don't even have. Yeah, you don't even have like half those abilities.
Yeah. Twist of Fate. After damaging or healing a target below 35% health, gain 5% increased damage and healing for 8 seconds.
That's
And if you
good.
put 2 talents in it, it goes to 10% increased damage. Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds
Yeah,
like that would be good because, again, that's especially if you're using spamming Shadow Word Death.
Yep.
Um, then yeah, so that's going to increase the damage by 10%. You're definitely going to be getting that buff quite a bit. So I like that. And then the last one here we have is improved Mind Blast, which Mind Blast's cooldown is reduced by 3 seconds. I'm guessing you're putting talents into both of those.
Into Improve Mind Blast?
Yes.
Yes.
I figure we're going to put both talents in there to reduce that by 6 seconds. Because I know
Plus,
Mind Blast is good for the damage, and then yeah, it looks like it unlocks some decent stuff as well.
yeah, so that actually puts our 20th point in now, so we can work on the last part of the tree.
All right, perfect. So you take it away.
We got on the far left, some more healing stuff. Damage take reduces the cooldown Desperate Prayer based on the amount of damage taken. Or Binding heals Flash Heal. Flash Heal healing other targets also heals you. That's just more healing. That's just more healer stuff.
Right.
Like this one I actually kind of like. Choice Divine Star and Halo. Divine Star, throw a star 24 yards, killing allies in its path, and then doing shadow damage to enemies that after reaching its destination, it comes back with healing and damage again. Or you can get Halo, which creates a ring of shadow energy around you that quickly expands to a 30-yard radius, healing targets and dealing shadow damage to enemies. And it does damage to targets that are further away than you. So I remember back in, I think it was Legion, or maybe it was Mop. I think it might have been Mop. That Shadow Priest Halo ability hit really hard. So that's something to keep your eye on.
Now, also, what's interesting is with both of those abilities, it says healing is reduced beyond 6 targets. That means the damage is not.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
potentially Mythic
That'd
Plus.
be nice.
Yeah, Mythic Plus, that could put up some decent damage.
Yeah.
Obviously, the 6 target healing cap really doesn't matter in anything other than raid or maybe BGs.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, Mythic Plus, you only have 5 people that you can heal anyway, so.
Yeah.
uh,
Next is translucent image. Fade reduces damage taken by 5%, or activating fade removes all movement and parrying effects.
Alright.
I think I like the remove all movement and parrying effects, to
I
be
was gonna
honest.
say, yeah, I know in PvP that sounds like that's gonna be really good.
Yeah, it's like a
Even in
freedom.
even in Mythic Plus,
Myth.
there are
Yep.
times that that's gonna come into play as well.
Yeah.
So
So I
putting a
put a
point in.
point in that.
All right,
Yeah. Next is mind games. It's no brainer. It's just that's the shadow part of the tree. You're gonna take that no matter what.
gotcha.
That leaves us with 9 points left to get.
All right, what does Mind Games do?
So it does a big chunk of damage straight up, and it puts on a debuff on the target. That if they heal or get healed while it's up, it does damage instead of healing.
Oh, okay,
It can be dispelled, but it's it's just it prevents healing done.
interesting.
Yeah. I'll just take it away at the next row, but we're gonna have a lot of leftover points because there's not a lot of shadow ability, so we'll go back
Gotcha.
and pick up some stuff as we go.
Okay.
But go ahead.
All right, so then we've got Surge of Light. Your healing and Smite has a 4% chance to make your next flash heal instant, cost no mana, stacks up to 2. Obviously, not going to use it as a Shadow Priest. Um, Light's
Yeah.
Inspiration. Desperate Prayer heals you for an additional 5% of your maximum health over 5 seconds. Again, not using that as a Shadow Priest.
Well, actually, Desperate Prayer is a cooldown we have.
Oh, okay, so I mean, it's something you might
It's
use, but
yeah. So right now in live, it increases the maximum health by 25% for 10 seconds on a 1.5 minute cooldown.
okay.
So that could potentially be picked up if we have extra points.
Gotcha. All right, then Crystalline Reflection. Power Word Shield instantly heals the target for 42% of spell power and reflects 10% of damage absorbed. I could see that maybe in PvP. I don't really see a
Yeah.
use for that in Mythic Plus.
Yeah.
I could see, like I said, I see maybe in PvP just to have the reflect in there, little self heal.
Yeah. It's minor, but it might
Yeah.
be okay. Maybe.
And then Improved Fade reduces the cooldown of Fade by 5 seconds with 2 points in there. I'm guessing it goes up to 10.
Yep, it does.
I don't know if that's something we're taking or not.
We'll fade right now to 30-second cooldown.
Gotcha.
So I mean, with it being a 20-second cooldown, the translucent image might be better than Phantasm for the damage reduced by 5%.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure. I think it could be better. Damage
Yeah,
reduced
I
by
would say
5%.
I would say in Mythic Plus, I don't think you really care about improved fade, just
Yeah.
because I mean movement and parrying effects happens like not very often. Not very
Yeah.
often. You're not going to use fade more than 2-3 times in a single key usually.
Yeah.
So I don't see needing to reduce that cooldown. PvP maybe, uh, just to because you're going to face lots of stuns and stuff in PvP.
Yeah.
All right, and the
Yeah.
last one in here, manipulation. Your Mind Blast and Mind Spike cast reduce the cooldown of Mind Games by 1 second. So that sounds like that's pretty good for Shadow.
Yeah, because mind games a 45-second cooldown. You're spamming your abilities from burst. You can probably get it down to 30 seconds.
Right, and it's going to drop it by 2 seconds with 2 points in there. So I'm assuming,
Oh, even more.
I'm assuming we're putting 2 points into that one, correct?
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, and then go ahead and knock out this last row for us.
Holy Word Life. It's a healing ability that I'm not going to go into because you're not going to get it. Angelic Bulwark is just when you get below a certain amount of health, you get a shield 15% of your maximum health for 20 seconds. It can only occur every 1.5 minutes. We have Void Shift, which was a PvP talent, but now it's just baseline. Basically what it does is, if your tank's at like 5%, you can swap them and give him your full health percentage, and you did his. But if you're below the 5, if you have, say, 5%, it'll take you to 25%. While giving your target full health percentage. So health pool does not matter; it's health percentage.
Right.
So that could be okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the shadow would really pick it up though.
Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna spend points on Crystalline Reflection or Improved Fade to get to it. Not for Mythic
Yeah.
Plus.
And then the last one, Shadow Perceptions, is really good. It increases the duration of the debuff by 2 seconds, and it deals an additional 25% initial damage and reverses an additional 25% damage or healing.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
this is
that
more
seems pretty good.
damage.
Yeah, that seems pretty good there for Shadow
So
Priest.
so I would go back. We have
6
6 points
points.
left.
Yeah.
I would put a point into Halo and get Light's Inspiration, 2 points.
Alright, hang on. Looking for Halo.
It's in the
I
the
see it, yep.
last. Yeah.
So, Halo. Would we put a point in Throes of Pain to get that 5% additional damage from Shadowward Pain?
Yes, that's what I was going to get to. Yeah, for
Alright.
sure.
Yeah, I feel like that would be strong for Mythic Plus, because if you've got that dot on, you know, 5 targets, there's 25% additional damage you're doing.
So I haven't put any points in Proof Fade yet because I don't know how good that is. So I have 2 points left.
Okay.
I think you're right in getting Psychic Voice of the Scream, the cooldown reduction on your Psychic Scream.
Alright. Yeah, for a Mythic Plus standpoint, I agree, yeah.
Last point. I might put it in Angelic Bulwark, to be honest. It's almost like a slight cheat death ability. Not really, but I mean it's a slight one if you get low. I'm trying to determine if it's between Leap of Faith or
I'm
Bulwark.
gonna say we've got 3 points to spend, right? So,
I only got 1 point. 1 point.
oh, did you put something in Crystalline Reflection or Light's
No.
Inspiration?
Light's Inspiration.
Okay, that's what I was missing.
I feel like the heal defensive is just nice.
Right. Yeah. From Mythic Plus standpoint, I could see Bulwark being strong, but it's probably better to get Bulwark than Leap of Faith.
That's
But
what I
Leap
was
of
thinking.
Faith is also, I mean, Leap of Faith. It really also just depends on who are you playing with.
Yeah.
Like, love your Ram. If you're playing with Ram, you're gonna want Leap of Faith over Angelic Bulwark.
Yes. Yep.
But yeah, no.
Sorry, Ram.
But yeah, no. We'll. I think Angelic Bulwark probably the better option for most of that.
Yeah, this is a nice little defensive and a big
Yeah, I'm looking to
DPS
see
incoming.
if there's anything else.
Because we got almost every shadow ability in the tree.
Yeah, the only other thing I could say would be from a Mythic Plus perspective, Purify Disease might be better than Angelic Bulwark to get to just be able to help. Well, it's because in Mythic Plus you get a lot of diseases on you. In PvP, you're only going to get diseases occasionally, but in Mythic Plus, there's lots of diseases that get put on people.
Right.
And I feel like having the extra purge or cleanse, I guess, basically, would be helpful. I think it depends on obviously what the dungeon is that you're doing. If you're doing a dungeon where there's not any disease effects going on people, obviously you don't need it. But if there's a dungeon, like let's say, back in BFA, Underrot. Underrot
Yeah.
had lots of diseases. I think if you're doing a dungeon like that where you're constantly going to have diseases, you're going to want to take Purify Disease. But I think in most situations, you're going to go with Angelic Bulwark.
Yeah.
Like I said, it also just depends, I think, a little bit on your comp. If you have, again, number one, what's the dungeon? Are there going to be diseases going out on your team? If not, obviously you don't need it. Two, if there are diseases going on in your team in that dungeon, can your healer handle those? Do they have a cleanse that will take care of diseases? Because if the healer you got can't do anything about diseases, you're going to want to take that, because somebody needs to be able to cleanse diseases if you're going into a dungeon that has diseases.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just not going to be fun. But yeah, I think it's a situational one. Like I said, if in those situations where you need that cleanse for diseases, I think you take Purify Disease. Otherwise, I think you're taking Angelic Bulwark.
Yeah. All right, that's the class tree portion. We'll start with Shadow now.
Yep.
I'll do the first 2 rows
All
real
right.
quick, and we'll go in from there.
Perfect.
So Shadow Priest, obvious one, start with Devouring Plague.
I don't want to
So
put a point in
nice.
there.
Guess you're playing Holy, bud. Devouring Plague is just a dot. Strong dot heals you for 50% of the damage dealt. And if it lasts 6 seconds, but if you have like 100 insanity and it costs 50, you put it on, and then you reapply it right away. It just adds that damage to the next Divine Play it's already on. It doesn't increase the duration at all, it just increases the damage.
Interesting.
Next is Silence. It's good to have to kick. 45-second cooldown.
Right.
Shadowy Apparitions. It's good as well. It's just, I don't know if you know what the Shadowy Apparitions are?
Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, it's just those little purple spirits that fly at your target. So you use Mind
Yep.
Blast, Divine Plague, stuff like that. One thing to point out, do you know how Shadow Priests run Searing Nightmare for AoE?
Nope.
So basically you cast Mind Seer, and
Okay.
while you're channeling Mind Seer, you can click Searing Nightmare to spread Shower Pain to all enemies.
Oh,
And
nice.
then if you re-click Searing Nightmare, it does 100% increased damage because they already have Shadow Pain on them. So that's their AoE.
Gotcha.
In this expansion, they got rid of Searing Nightmare.
In Shadowlands or in
Dra-
Dragonflight?
Dragonflight.
Oh,
Dragonflight.
okay.
So that is now gone. And Mind Seer is now the AoE ability, and instead of just channeling it whenever, it now costs insanity. It's supposed to be hitting pretty hard, I think, for AoE now. But I mean, I haven't seen any testing of it yet. Hopefully soon. But
Okay.
yeah, I think it kind of sucks to lose Searing Nightmare. But from my understanding and looking at some of the talents, there's they added some good ones to help with the AoE.
Gotcha. So, quick question on Shadow Priest, because I
Yeah.
the little bit that I have played it, um, I thought the way it worked was you basically build up your insanity to 100 and go into void form or something, and then you get different abilities and spend your insanity through void form. Now, is that correct or is that wrong?
Uh, well, you don't technically need 100 insanity.
Okay, so you
Nothing
just
but that. The only ability that costs insanity is Divine Plague and now Mind Seer.
okay. So I did.
Because
That's what I was saying. I didn't know because
Mind Seer is 25%.
I was seeing
Yep.
all these abilities, costing insanity, and I was thinking that insanity didn't get spent at all unless you were in void form or whatever. But again, I it's been I don't even know when the last time I played Shadow Priest was. I don't know if I even played it in Shadowlands. I may have not played it other than in BFA.
Yeah, so Mind Seer costs 25 insanity every 1 second while channeled. So, ideally for Mind Seer, you probably want high insanity to start.
Right.
And you get a couple seconds off. I mean, like, it sounds kind of rough to have it cost 25 insanity per second for its damage in the tooltip. There's only 29% spell power. It seems
Right.
kind
Yeah.
of weak. It seems kind of weak, but I
Now,
mean,
one thing I will say is there does not appear to be any target cap.
yeah.
So that's kind of nice.
So
There's not even a
Mind
soft cap or anything.
That's how Mindseer works right now on live. There's no target cap for Mindseer or Searing Nightmare.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it takes the next row.
All right. So here on the left, and what are we getting from that top row? Are we getting? I know you said
I got all
silence.
three.
Okay, all three. All right, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So then on the left here we're choosing between Psychic Horror, which is a 45-second cooldown, a 4-second stun on a single target, or Last Word, which reduces the cooldown of silence by 15 seconds, which turns that silence into a 30-second
So,
interrupt
yeah.
and silence. So that's kind of nice. Um, I think it just depends on what you're looking for there. And then the next one is you're again choosing between Misery or Dark Void, where Misery causes Vampiric Touch to also apply Shadow Word Pain to the target. Shadow Word Pain lasts an additional 5 seconds. And Dark Void, which that's, I think, an ability I remember um, somewhat. I don't remember what it does. I remember using it. Dark Void unleashes an explosion of dark energy around your target, dealing 68% of spell power, shadow damage, and applying Shadow Word Pain to your target, and 68% of spell power to nearby enemies, I think is what that's saying.
So I don't know if the tooltip meant to say that the Dark Void applies Shadow Word Pain to all targets. I'm not sure.
It looks like it's saying. It looks like maybe what it does is it does uh, the damage to all nearby enemies, but only the Shadow Word Pain only to the primary target.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure on that. Um,
All right.
yeah,
Next.
it's hard to say. And then so next we have Auspicious Spirits or Tormented Spirits. Auspicious Spirits, your shadowy apparitions now deal 15% increased damage and generate 2 insanity. Tormented Spirits, your Shadow Word Pain damage has a 5% chance to create a shadowy version of yourself that floats towards all targets afflicted by your vampiric touch. And critical strikes increase the chance to 10%. And then the last one is Dispersion, which I believe is a defensive ability.
Yes.
Disperse into pure shadow energy, reducing all damage taken by 75% for 6 seconds and healing you for 25% of your maximum health over its duration, but you're unable to attack or cast spells. It increases your movement speed by 50%, makes you immune to all movement and parrying effects, and is castable while stunned, feared, or silenced. Not sure what
Yeah.
that intangibility 50, don't know what that means. Um, I don't know if you know what that is. I don't understand what that means.
Intangibility is another talent down one more row to the right
Okay,
to
so it sounds
increase
like if you
to
take it,
50%.
gotcha. Okay, that makes more
Yeah.
sense.
So with these talent wise, um, I'd like to say Dark Void, but if it doesn't apply Shadow Word Pain to all targets, I feel like Misery's better. Um, Auspicious Spirits, I think, is better too than Tormented Spirits.
All right.
And that unlocks the next row. It's
So we're
kind of hard.
getting
There's a lot of good
So we're getting
abilities.
what? Dark Void and Auspicious Spirits.
I went Misery and Auspicious Spirits.
Misery and Auspicious. All right, gotcha.
Um, Getting a migraine. Um, Dispersion. I'm trying to decide. I would like to go and pick Shadow Word or Last Word or Psychic Ward, but I'm waiting for the new talents to come out. The one right below it, Shadowy Orbs and Puppet Master and Harness Shadows, to see if
Right.
those are any good.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, those are all say coming soon.
Yeah. Um, if we have more points left over, I'll probably come back against Psychic Ward.
All right.
But
I mean,
also
so we don't necessarily have to have Psychic Core either to unlock that because you've already unlocked that Shadow Orbs and stuff
with
with
Misery.
Misery. So it's more
Yeah.
of a question of whether or not you just want it.
Yeah. Um, I'll start us off with Shadowy Orbs, probably the best ability.
Yep, coming soon.
Coming soon.
And yep, yep.
Next is a choice in hallucinations and tithe evasion. So hallucinations, you're successful. Dispel magic, master spell, purify disease, vampiric embrace, and powered shield cast. Generate 6 insanity during combat. Or Shadow Death deals 75% less damage to the caster. That can be decent in execute phases when you're spamming Shadow Word Death. Because how Shadow Word Death works is if you don't kill them, you take that damage.
You know, and we touched on this a little bit, I think, in the Havoc talent tree, but I'm confused. I'm still confused by why does it say level 70?
Right.
I don't get that. Um, yeah, I don't know. Again, I think that's just some issues with their tooltips.
Yeah.
But
So I personally wouldn't put a point in it right now.
okay.
I don't see it being that important. I think Mind Spike's really good to get, and Blast target for 80% of the spell power and Shadow Frost damage, but extinguishes your Shadow over time effect, increasing the critical strike chance of Mind Blast by 30% second to 3 times. Now, at first read, you're like, well, why would I use Mind Spike? It's going to get rid of my dots. But later in the tree, as you'll see, there's abilities to make it so Mind Spike will proc and not take away your dots.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, because like how it is right now, if you're not looking farther to the tree, you're like, when would I ever use Mind Spike?
Yeah, no,
It's
I was literally thinking like, oh, you sure you want to take that? Because that doesn't seem smart. But no, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. Next is Vampiric Insight. Vampiric Touch. Periodic damage is a chance to reset the remaining cooldown Mind Blast and cause your Mind Blast to be instant. Meanwhile, Mind Blast gains in 1 additional charge. That's pretty good. If you go back to the priest tree, the Mind Blast cooldown is just by 6 seconds. I don't know what the cooldown of Shadow Blast is gonna, Mind Blast is gonna be because on live right now it's a 6 second cooldown.
Hmm. I would say,
So
well,
I'm,
so hang on. So we already had something that reduces the cooldown, right? So improve Mind Blast, reduce it by 6 seconds. Let me scroll down here. Mind Blast is a 15-second recharge, according to
oh
the
okay,
tooltip. So the six
okay, that's
second
good.
thing reduces it to 9 seconds.
It
Um,
gives you a second charge.
Gotcha. Yeah, so two charges of it, and it has a chance to reset the cooldown. Yeah, so I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right.
Last one is intangibility. Dispersion heals you for a total of 50%, and its cooldown's reduced by 30 seconds, so it makes it a minute and a half. Or you get mental fortitude. Healing with vampiric touch and divine plague. While you're at maximum health, will shield you for the same amount. Shield cannot exceed 10% of your total health. I don't know. I don't see it being that great.
Yeah, I don't see, in a Mythic Plus standpoint, I don't see taking that. I mean, unless you don't trust your healer,
Yeah.
I don't see somebody taking that in Mythic Plus over damage increasing abilities.
Mhm. Yeah. Um. I mean, with how points are going right now, if we have left over, I would probably put it into dispersion because the defensives are nice if we can avoid some damage coming out in Mythic Plus.
Gotcha.
But for the time being, I wouldn't put a point in it
Yeah,
yet.
well, and also, I mean, if you look at all the talents that we can, let's say we only had 7 right now. If you look at all the talents, we've got all the damage increasing talents.
Yeah.
All of our options that are left that we haven't picked, other than Shadow Orbs, which we don't know what that is. Everything else is the only one that would be worth it would be hallucinations. That's the only thing that would be a
Yeah.
slight DPS increase, just because it's going to generate 6 insanity. I mean, it's a very minor increase. It sounds like. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, everything we've got all of our offensive things from the first section here.
Yeah. All right. Take us away to the next tree. We're just getting started to the middle part of the tree, so.
All right. Yep. All right. So Puppet Master. I've heard that this ability, essentially, as soon as you use it, your character starts playing Master of Puppets by Metallica.
Nice.
So
Stay tuned.
if that does turn out to be true, must have talent.
Yep.
um, the next ability, Damnation, instantly afflicts the target with Shadow Word Pain, Vampiric Touch, and Devouring Plague. It's a 45-second cooldown. Um, I feel
It
like
gets
that's
reduced.
hmm. Oh, it gets reduced later on.
It gets reduced to 30 second.
Gotcha. I feel like for rating, that might be good to get. I feel like for
It's a must for PvP.
yeah, yeah, that makes sense absolutely for PvP. I feel like for Mythic Plus, I mean, it might be nice, but I don't know if you're gonna necessarily spend a point in it.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna be trying to spread everything around anyway. Single target fights, that could be good because it's one GCD over 3 GCDs, and that's
Yeah.
2 GCDs you have to put actual other damaging abilities. So rating, I see it having a possible place. It just kind of depends what we're looking at. But the next ability is Mind Melt, which Mind Spike reduce the cast time of your next Mind Blast by 50%, stacking up to 2 times. Um,
That's pretty
Lasts
good.
for 6 seconds. Yeah, considering we already have it down to a 9 second, plus Vampiric Insight has a chance to reset the cooldown, and you have uh, 2 charges. I mean, it sounds like Mind Spike is you're gonna be getting some nice, or Mind Blast will have some nice cast time reductions on here. So I
Yep.
like Mind Melt. Um, Surge of Darkness, your Vampiric Touch and Devouring Plague damage have a chance to cause your next Mind Spike to not consume your damage over time effects, be instant, and deal 50% additional damage. Stacks up to 3 times. So that's that proc you were talking about.
Yep.
Um,
That's huge.
so we're putting a point in that. Are we putting a point in Mind Melt?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you get these instant mind spikes from Surge of Darkness, and you
Right.
just get stacking up. And you just keep doing it. You get the instant mind blast to rotate in. It's just nice to have.
Yes, absolutely. I like that. Mental Decay. The duration of your Shadow Word Pain and Vampiric Touch is increased by 1 second when enemies suffer Mind Flay or Mind Sear damage. So that's
Not
kind of
that big.
interesting. But next one is Dark
Yeah.
Evangelism. Your Mind Flay and Mind Sear damage increases the damage of your periodic shadow effects by 1%, stacking up to 5 times. Alright, so either of
I mean,
those two, you putting anything to either of those?
well, Dark Evangelism 2 points makes it to 2% up to 5 times, 10%
Correct.
increased damage.
Yep. Yep.
Um, I would put points into it just to unlock the next part of the tree.
Alright.
So I put 2 in there.
And then Mental Decay, you're just leaving that one in. I know you said that doesn't sound that strong.
I don't know. I don't see it being that amazing. 1 second. I don't know. Could
Say
be.
Mind
I don't think so.
Flay. Mind Flay is what? Is that Mind Flay like a channeled ability?
Yes.
And that's a single target one, correct?
Yeah.
So I could see maybe in raid. I don't know how often you use Mind Flay. Um, I
It's
could.
like a filler.
Okay. I was gonna say I could see maybe in a single target that could be strong, but I mean it sounds like with Mind Seer you need to be up to 100 insanity in order for it to really get a full effect, and like we were kind
Yeah.
of talking, it doesn't sound super strong. So I don't know. I mean, at best you're going to increase the dots by 4 seconds, and I don't know if that's worth it
Yeah.
for AoE. So I don't know. All right, take it away to the next row.
Okay, so we have Harness Shadows coming soon. Great ability.
Yep.
Malediction reduces the equivalent damnation by 15 seconds.
All right, which we
Could be
didn't.
good.
Yeah, now we didn't take damnation, so we're not using it
Not
right now,
not yet.
obviously.
Yeah, not yet.
All
If
right.
we get it at all. We got Psychic Link, Mind Blast, and Mind Spike deal 15% of the damage to all other targets afflicted by Vampiric Touch within 40 yards. So 2 points puts at 30% increased damage. So that's just some cleave damage.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds actually like it'd be really good for Mythic Plus, like really good.
Yeah. So I definitely put 2 points in that.
Yep.
Next is Void Torrent or Shadow Crash. Void Torrent actually looks pretty strong. It's a channel ability, 3-second channel, with 306% spell power, shadow damage, 30-second cooldown. But I think Shadow Crash is going to take it for Mythic Plus because it's hurl bolts of shadow energy, dealing 191% spell damage, and applying Vampiric Touch to 4 targets in that have been hit.
Yeah,
So
I
that works.
agree.
I would go with Shadow Crash because you do a Shadow Crash on like a mob of 4 or 5, get Vampiric Touch up. Your Psychic Link already ready to go. So you can go back to casting Mind Blast, Mind Spikes, and start cleaving right away.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, just for the simple fact of getting vampiric touch on 4 targets right there, I like that a lot.
Yeah. Next is Dark Ascension. Consumes Dark Evangelism to increase the damage of non-periodic shadow spells by 4% per stack consumed. Last 8 seconds. So you get that Dark Evangelism from Mind Flay and Mind Seer, and it stacks up to 10%, and then you get 4% per stack. So how much is that? Was that 40%?
Yes. Well,
40%.
no.
I
So
don't
it
know the
would
math.
be it would
My
be
math is bad.
5. It'd be 20% because it stacks
20.
up to
Yeah.
5 times.
5. 10, yeah. Okay. So 20% increased shadow spell damage for 18 seconds. 2-minute cooldown.
So that's gonna
Um.
increase like your mind blasts and stuff like that.
Non-perishable. Yeah. Yes. Mind Spike. Mind Blast.
Okay, which again, with mind blast and mind with that psychic link where it deals 30% of its damage to all other targets, that's still gonna increase a lot of damage there.
Yeah. So definitely a Dark Ascension.
All right.
Next, Unfurling Darkness. So it's actually alive as well. It's a good ability for PvP and PvE. I guess now you can actually spec into it without losing stuff. So basically, you cast a Vampiric Touch on your target. Within 8 seconds, you get another free Vampiric Touch cast immediately to put on another target. And that's a 15-second cooldown. And if you're running Misery, which is in the early part of the tree, when you cast Vampiric Touch off apply Shower Pain, that counts for Unfurling Darkness as well. So you cast a
Oh,
Vampiric
nice.
Touch, and you get Shower Pain up, you get a free Vampiric Touch Shower Pain on another target.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Yeah.
So you're putting a point in that one then, I assume?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Alright, go ahead and take it away.
All right, so the next talent on the left here for the next row is Maddening Touch, which causes Vampiric Touch to have a 50% chance to generate 1 insanity each time it deals damage. Um, I mean, I don't. I assume it increases to 2 insanity. Oh no, it increases it to a 100% chance to generate 1 insanity.
I think
With
that's
2
really
talents in there.
minor.
Hmm.
I feel like that's really minor.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like if that made it a 50% chance to generate 2 insanity, I'd like that a bit more. But
Yeah,
yeah.
kind of
And
weak.
then the next one is Whispers of the Damned. Your Mind Blast and Mind Spike critical strikes generate an additional 3 insanity. So that sounds not terrible, especially it sounds because we're going to be getting a lot of Mind Blast and Mind Spikes with this build. It feels like.
Yeah,
And then the last talent there is Piercing Shadows. Your Shadow spell casts increase your shadow damage by
1%.
0.5% for 25 seconds, and it's got two talents in there, so that increases it to 1% for 25 seconds, stacks 5 times.
Some
So basically,
passive shadow
so
damage.
all your shadow damage basically is going to be 5% increase with that. So I feel like that's a pretty good one to get.
Yeah, it's actually a from Classic WoW. The Shadow Priest had that they actually brought to a raid group where they
Gotcha.
put dots on a target. It adds this debuff, and it increases the damage taken from shadow abilities for everybody. So like Shadow Priest and locks especially get that damage increase from that. But I think this is just personally on you, not on the target.
Yeah, that's
Still good though.
yeah. So then, you're wanting to put 2 points into Whisper of the Damned?
Uh,
That's that middle one right there.
I would. We
Because
unlocked the next part with 1 point, so I'm kind
yes,
of
yeah,
saying maybe we'll
that's what
come
I'm.
back and get it if we have extra points.
All right. Well, because as it is now, the only thing we'll have unlocked would be derangement and void eruption. Now, granted, that might be all we need. I don't know.
Well,
Uh,
I mean, if you put a point into Wizard of the Damned, you get a choice between pain, death, and mind flay insanity too.
you'd have to put 2 points in.
I only have 1 point in it, and it said I can.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
All right, so I'll start us off. Mindbender, 1 minute cooldown. Priest know that ability. It's just it's like Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend lasts 15 seconds, 3 minute cooldown. Mindbender lasts 15 seconds with a 1 minute cooldown.
Oh,
Or
I see.
Idol of Yasiraj. Shadow Fiend causes you to gain a benefit based on your target's current emotional state.
Gotcha.
So, I think some priests have found some of these emotional states. I think one of them was, I could be wrong, but I thought one of them was like, if you fear something, while you have your Shadow Fiend up, all your damage does no longer break the fear.
Huh.
I'm pretty sure that's one. I don't know if it's been changed. I heard about that one. I think that's what this talent is. But there's other abilities that come with different stuff, I think.
Right. And real quick,
That
I realized why that Pain of Death choice and Mind Flay choice is unlocked. It's because it's linked to Psychic Link as well, which we do have points in.
right. Okay, so now next we have Pain and Death. Increase the damage dealt by Shadow Word Death by 25%. Shadow Word Death deals 20% of its damage to all targets inflicted by your Shadow Word within 40 yards. That's just good for execute phase. The cleave's nice, but that increased damage of death by Shadow Word Death 25% is huge in execute phase. Especially if Shadow Word Death no longer has a cooldown.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds really good for execute phase. Or you have Mind Flay Insanity, so every time you cast Devouring Plague, transforms your Mind Flay into Mind Flay Insanity for 5 seconds. Mind Flay Insanity deals 80% more damage than Mind Flay. So I think that sounds really good too, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I'd have to see exactly how Shadow Word Death plays out.
Yeah.
Because if that Shadow Word Death plays out where you can just spam Shadow Word Death for the last 25 or whatever percent, last 20% of the target, I think the Pain of Death is probably going to be the better option for Mythic Plus.
Yeah, especially in
Um,
Tyrannical.
I don't know about necessary for Tyrannical, because it's more about the AOE stuff. On Fortified Weeks, I think is when that's really going to be strong. Because having Shadow Word Death deal 20% of its damage to all targets affected by Shadow Word Pain. If you've
True.
got a mob of 5, and especially as if the health pools are varying a little bit, the first target gets down to 20%. You can start spamming Shadow Word Death. By the time it dies, you'll have other targets down below 20% as well, and you just keep spamming that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Shadow Word Death. It also depends on how much damage that Shadow Word Death is going to do. If it's not going to do much damage and other abilities are stronger, then you probably aren't
Well,
going to use that talent. But I think it does pretty strong damage.
so I'm looking at the tooltip for Shadow Death in the priest tree. If you go over to the Shadow Death in the
Yep.
second row to the right. If you read the bottom, it says damage increased by 250% to targets below 50% health, and damage increased 150% to targets below 20% health. So it hits harder when they're below 50 than they are when they're below 20.
Right.
Which is kind of odd.
But the cooldown reset only happens at below 20% health.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is weird.
I feel like it would be higher on a
I,
20% or
yeah,
lower.
I feel like that's something where maybe on a boss fight, once they get below 50%, you pop it just for put on 20 seconds. Because after 20 seconds, you're probably gonna have it back up anyway before it gets to 20% health.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But yeah, once it gets below 20% health, you're gonna be. I feel like 150% damage. That's gonna be right around 128% of your spell power damage. I feel like it's decently strong, probably stronger than a lot of the other abilities. Mind Spike is only 80%.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's probably gonna be something that'll be a high priority spam at the end.
Alright, so we'll go back to the tree. We got 2 left here. Got Derangement, increases the initial damage of Divine Plague by 75%. And Mind Seer deals damage 20% faster. I think it's good to have. Divine Plague does good damage. So a 75% increase on initial damage is actually pretty good too. And the Mind Seer itself to AoE, so Mythic Plus, I think you take Derangement no matter what.
Okay.
We got Void Eruption. You have to get this. It's good. It's really good. It's how it is in live right now. So, well, I mean, it's a 2-minute cooldown on here, but in live it's a minute and a half. But yeah. How long does it last? It doesn't say.
I think so. This is what I was talking about, where Void Eruption starts spending all of your insanity, right? In live.
No, no.
I was thinking that's how Void Eruption worked in live.
It did Legion.
Okay, maybe that's where I knew it from then.
Because right now you go into Void Eruption, you just spam Void Bolts, Mind Blast, Devouring Plagues. Like you don't. The only thing that costs insanity is Devouring Plague. Nothing else costs insanity.
Right. Let me look at
Except for now this expansion, because Mind's here doing damage as well, or requiring insanity as well.
So the tooltip for Void Form doesn't say anything. um, Here we go. Void Form lasts for 15 seconds.
Okay.
It twists your Shadow Form with the powers of the Void, increasing spell damage you deal by 20%. And with Mind Blast, grants an additional charge of Mind Blast and refreshes Mind Blast's cooldown.
Yeah.
All right, so you said we're definitely getting that. And
Yeah.
you put 1 point into Whispers of the Damned in order to unlock the next tree, the section, correct?
Yes.
All right, that's what I thought.
1 point to get Pain of Death. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, and are we getting a point into Derangement?
Yes.
And what about Pain of Death or Mind Flayed Insanity? Did you put anything in there or leave that out for
I'll,
now?
I'll put something in Pain of Death at the moment.
All right.
All right. Hit us with the next row.
All right, so Fiending Dark, your Mind Flay and Mind Spike crits reduce the cooldown of Shadow Fiend by 3 seconds or Mind Bender by 1 second. We don't even have access to it right this second, so obviously we're not putting anything into it yet. The next one is Monomania. While channeling Mind Flay or Mind Seer, the tick rate of your Vampiric Touch and Shadow Word Pain on your current target is increased by 25%, and their crit chance is increased by 3%. I feel like in single target, that's good. I feel like in Mythic Plus, it's not all that great.
Yeah.
If it was going to do it for all targets and not just the current target, then it would be great for Mythic Plus.
Yeah.
Next one is Painbreaker's Psalm. Shadow Word Death consumes 4 seconds of Shadow Word Pain and Vampiric Touch, instantly dealing that damage to the target and generating up to 10 insanity. Then the next
So
one,
if you put 2 points into that, it consumes 8 seconds, which is actually pretty big.
and it generates up to 20 insanity.
Yes.
All right, and then Mastermind increases the critical strike chance of Mind Spike and Mind Blast by 3% and increases their critical strike damage bonus by 15%. And putting 2 points makes that 6% chance increase and a 30% damage bonus, which is pretty strong, I feel like, especially since it feels like our build's going to allow quite a few Mind Spikes and Mind Blasts.
Yeah.
Next one is Insidious Ire. While you have Shadow Word Pain, Devouring Plague, and Vampiric Touch active on the same target, your Mind Blast deals 20% more damage. I'm assuming that means
Goes to 40.
I'm to 40, right? And I assume that means that the Mind Blast on that target does that more damage. I don't feel like it's just going to increase all of your Mind Blast.
Yeah.
Um,
It could. That'd be broken, but I don't think that's how it works. I think you're right.
yeah, I mean, Mind Blast is pretty much a single target ability. Outside of with the Psychic Link, it deal 30% damage to all targets with the Paired Touch. So it could be pretty decent, especially if it's 40% increase. But yeah, my guess is it has to be that target. And then Mind Devour. Mind Blast has an 8% chance to make your next Devouring Plague cost no insanity.
That's okay.
Okay. And then with the 2 talents, it makes it a 15% chance. Then Ancient Madness, the last one in this row. Void Form increases your critical strike chance by 15%, 30% once you have 2 talents in there. For 15 seconds, reducing by 2% every second with both talents, or 1% every second with just one.
That's in the game right now.
All right.
It's actually preference. I see some priests in Mythic Plus run Ancient Madness and some run Hungry Void.
Okay.
Hungry Void's actually the town right below Ancient Madness in the tree on that we're looking at right now.
Gotcha.
So you get the best of both worlds there
Nice.
if you spec into it. I wouldn't go Mind Devourer. It's okay, but maybe PvP. I don't know. I feel like you're gonna have no problem with getting Insanity in PvE. You just have so many spells in the go.
Right.
I'll take you to the last row, and I only have 23 points spent. I haven't figured out what.
I didn't say, yeah, what?
On.
Yeah, go ahead and go through this last round, and then we'll figure out points.
Yeah. All right, so we got Shadow Flame Prism, which is the legendary most people use in Mythic Plus right now. So when you Mind Blast Shadow of Death, cause your Shadow Fiend or Mind Bender to teleport behind your target, slash up to 5 enemies for 190% spell power. So it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what I don't know if you'd even go down the left part of the tree unless the 3 talents that aren't out yet are really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it seems like uh, all that stuff there. I mean, like, because in order to, I feel like that ability there could be really good for Mythic Plus. However, like you
Yeah,
said, it's the Mythic Plus Legendary, but it's kind of a matter of, it feels like all the talents you're spending to get there seem to be single target talents,
yeah,
which is odd. I get what they're doing. It's that side seems to be about your Mindbender and your Shadow Fiends. That's kind of what the left side seems to be focusing on.
yeah.
Um, but
Well,
I
the
know
right's going with a bunch of shadow damage and just procs and damage all over.
yeah, I feel so. The middle seems to be all about Mind Spike and Mind Blast.
Yeah,
The right kind of
dots and
seems,
stuff.
yeah, um,
And we're
yeah. I
getting
don't.
quite a bit of both. Like we're getting mid and right, and it seems pretty strong. I feel like if you're giving up the right part of the tree to the left right now, I think you're gonna lose out on DPS.
Yeah, like I said, that's what I'm kind of looking at. Like the Shadow Flame Prison looks really strong for Mythic Plus, but again, what are you losing to get to it? I don't know if it's
Yeah,
strong enough to make up for what you're going to lose to get to it.
yeah. Okay. The next 3 talents, the last 3, all have choices. So we'll start with the first one, Idol of Cthulhu. Mind Flay and Mind Seer have a chance to spawn a Void Tendril or Void Lasher that channels your target for 15 seconds, generating 3 insanity every 1 second. I think that was something in Mop for Shadow Priest, so they could get like those little tentacle things to spawn. I think. Next is Idol of Yogg-Saron. After conjuring 50 shadowy apparitions, you summon a thing from beyond that serves you for 20 seconds. The thing from beyond blasts enemies for 25% spell power, shadow damage. Shadowy apparitions you can get like quite a bit off. Especially in AoE fights. I don't know how strong this Yogg-Saron thing will be, but it's cool. Give them that.
Yeah, no, that could be interesting.
Yeah.
I
Um.
think the question would be: does the thing from beyond do AOE damage or just single target damage?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Next we have Idol of
actually, it says the
what?
thing from beyond blasts enemies, so it's AOE for 25.1% of spell power shadow damage. So it does do AOE, so that might not be bad.
Yeah. Next we have Idol of N'Zoth. Damage dealt by Shower Pain, Vampiric Touch, and Divine Plague. 20% chance to apply Echoing Void. Each time Echoing Void is applied, it has a chance to collapse only 50% of attack power, which is weird. Shadow damage to all enemies until no stacks remain. I think that's I feel like that's wrong. 50% of attack power. What do you see that?
Yeah, I'm looking for Echoing Void. Is that any kind of a ability that you already have?
I'm looking. I don't see it.
Okay, I didn't say me neither. No, I mean, okay, so damage dealt has a 20% chance to apply Echoing Void.
Yeah.
So if it applies, so I guess it kind of, it's kind of like the Echoing Void ability. Yeah, it basically is. It's Echoing Void from the. I actually really love this. It's Echoing Void ability from BFA with the corruption. So the way the Echoing Void worked there was you basically every time that you dealt damage, it had a chance to give you a stack of Echoing Void, and then it also had a chance to collapse basically. And each stack that you had, which you could get up to, I think 30 stacks, I think was the max. Once it erupted, every second you ticked for it started the rank 3 started off at like 6% of your maximum HP, which as a vengeance demon hunter, I got rank 3 echoing void. I got rank 3 echoing void from week 1. That was like the very first piece I got whenever they brought out corruption. I got rank 3 echoing void, and with a 6% HP, I went from doing about 30k DPS to doing 50k HP DPS. It was a massive increase. Now, 50% of attack power, honestly, that sounds still very, very strong. Because, look at your Mind Spike. Your Mind Spike does 80% of spell power. Mind Blast. What does Mind Blast do? Mind Blast does 97% of spell power. So basically what's going to happen there is does it say how often it goes off? No, it doesn't. So yeah, that's going to cause it to do basically half a Mind Spike, half of whatever damage Mind Blast does. It's going to do half of that to everything until it runs out of stacks. So
yeah,
that honestly is going to be pretty good for Mythic Plus, I feel like.
Yeah.
Now,
I think so too.
Yeah, and then that second one, what's that second one on there?
Lunacy. Reduces the insanity cost of Brian Plate by 10. Reduces the insanity drain in a Mind Sphere deals damage by 5. So instead of channeling at 25% insanity per second, it's 20.
Yeah. I don't know if that's really enough to make Mind Seer be stronger. I feel like that's something that you kind of have to wait until all the great Shadow Priests out there that have their spreadsheets do the math on. I kind of like that Idol of Inzoth, honestly. I like that a lot.
Me too.
Alright, and then what's this last choice here?
Last choice is Hungering Void. Just in the game already, just based on when you use Void Bolt. When you go into Void Eruption, and you go into the Void form, your Void Eruption button now turns into Void Bolt. So basically, when you use Void Bolt, it increases the damage it takes from you by 10% for 12 seconds. But it only applies to one target at a time. But so it's good. It's good single target. I mean, you do fine AoE too, but single target's better.
All right.
Casting Void Bolt on an enemy that already is vulnerable extends the duration of Void form by 2 seconds or 4 seconds if it critically strikes. So you keep your Void form up longer. Center to Madness. You go on for the next 30 seconds. Your insanity generating ability generate 100% more insanity and give you the ability to cast while moving. If the target does not die within 30 seconds of using Center of Madness, you die. I don't think Hungry. I don't think Center of Madness is the way to go.
Yes,
I think we put points to get Idol of N'Zoth, to be honest.
Yeah, as I say, I don't think either Ancient Madness or either of those, Hungering Void or Surrender to Madness. I don't really care for either of those for Mythic Plus.
Well, Ancient Madness would be nice for the crits.
Yeah, it could. All right, so what are we spending our points on then? Because we have 7 points to spend.
I think we get Mastermind and Insidious Ire. That appoints into Idol and Zoth. Leaves us with 2 points left. And I think Paybreaker Psalm is pretty good too. I think we can go into that for those execute phases. What do you think?
Let me see here. So Idle and Zoth. Um. So
That or
this.
Mind Devourer.
I've got 2 points in Mastermind.
Yep.
And then 1 in Idle and Zoth. So that leaves me with 4 points. Now I know you said putting points into Insidious Ire. I think to me, it just kind of that one kind of depends on how that works. Does it only work if we're targeting the target that has the 3 dots on them, or does it just if any target has all 3, then our Mind Blast automatically does 20% more damage?
Yeah.
Because I think if it works where you have to target that one, I mean mathematically it might end up being better regardless. But I kind of would like to try to, like, if it's me, I think I'm looking at trying to put my points towards getting Idol of Yogg-Saron.
Okay.
That's just me. I think getting that, because of it's going to be blasting enemies for 25% of your spell power, uh, for 20 seconds. I'm assuming it's going to be like every second or every second and a half. It's going to do some pretty good damage there.
Yeah.
And it's all going to be passive damage while you're doing other stuff. Also, I don't know how often it's going to proc. Just every 50 Shadowy Apparitions. I don't know. So Shadowy Apparitions have a chance to, or whenever you use Mind Blast, Devouring Plague, or Void Bolt, it creates a shadowy version of yourself. Crits cause 2 apparitions. And it floats towards all targets afflicted. So how, I don't know if you know how this works or not. If you
Which one?
have Shadowy Apparitions, if you have 5 targets that have Vampiric Touch on it, does that mean that when you use Mind Blast, 5 Shadowy Apparitions go out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, I definitely think in that case, Idol of Yogg-Saron is going to be very strong in Mythic Plus.
So what did you get there? Did you put 4 points into Monomania and Painbreaker Psalm and then get it? Or
I
they
mean,
have
I
4
think
points.
you only
I
need
get
2.
3.
Well, you only need 2 points to put it in there. Yeah, you only need 3 points total. So which of those two, Monomania or Painbreaker Psalm, which of those two do you think are is the better one for AoE? Because they both seem kind of single target oriented.
It's hard. That's a hard one. Yeah, I think with all the crit in the build, I think Monomania might be kind of good. I'm not sure though. That's a tough one. I feel like for XQ phase, Painbreaker Psalm is just like super good.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at. I think the Painbreaker Psalm would be really strong with that Shadow Word Death, especially because
Yeah.
at that point you don't need those dots either.
Yeah. Well, they don't. Dots doesn't come off.
Well, but it consumes 4 seconds of it, which it
Well, 8
does.
seconds, I guess.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that's a lot of
Yeah.
damage. But again, like you don't really need the dots to stay on because it's if you're under 20% chance or 20% health, you're probably not getting more than 2 Shadow Word deaths off on them anyway. But they're probably going to be dead, especially if you're consuming all
Well,
that.
Death and Madness, member has the equivalent reset if it's used below 20, so it might actually be beneficial to like do a mind shower, death, reply dots, shower, death, reply dots. You know, because like
Well, so it's
you
what
have
I'm
an
saying
instant.
is though, What I'm saying is um, if you have 5 targets, it's only consuming those dot times from your target. So Shadow or Death, if you use it 2 times and the target's dead, your other targets still have their full duration of dots on them. So you're not really losing any time. You don't need to reapply your dots because you're probably in Mythic Plus, once it's below 20%, I don't see you getting that cast off more than 2 to 3 times and it's going to be dead.
All of them are targeting bosses.
Yeah, on bosses, yes. On bosses, you're definitely gonna reapply it. On Mythic Plus, as far as the trash goes, I think that's kind of what you're looking at. Is you're gonna use it 2, 3 times, and then you're gonna jump to a different target anyway. So I think Painbreaker Psalm is the better of those two. I could be
Yeah.
completely wrong on that though. But yeah, then I'm going to take Idol of Yogg-Saron because I think that, along with Idol of N'Zoth, those two abilities there are going to pump some damage.
Yeah. What do you put your
Um,
last point into? We can
uh,
go. We could go up and get Psychic Horror now, or Dispersion actually.
See, I feel like you're going to want to still get something um, that's going to do increased damage. So I'm thinking maybe you put that last point in that Insidious Ire.
Okay.
Because that there, is going to increase your Mind Blast. So especially if it doesn't matter who you're targeting, as long as you just have it on 3 people, that
Yeah.
Mind Blast dealing 20% more damage, I think that's going to be good. Or do you? So which one do you think would be better, Insidious Ire or Monomania,
Um.
or Ancient Madness?
I feel like the more crim would be better. Maybe Ancient Madness.
All right, I don't have a problem with that. So yeah, so I think that's kind of where I'm going with that. Obviously I think there's some play in there. Especially, once we find out what the talents are for Shadow Orbs, Puppet Master, and Harness Shadows.
Yeah.
Depending on what those are, that could change things.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, no, that's just kind of the way I'm looking at it. Is and I could be looking at it completely wrong. It might be better to focus more into one of the final 4. But if I feel like if you can get 2 of those final 4 talents, I feel like those are going
Yeah.
to be strong.
Yeah.
I also feel like Idol of Yogg-Saron, you're gonna have up quite often. It doesn't seem to have anything in there that says can only happen once every 30 seconds or whatever. So it seems like you have an unlimited number of them. It honestly, the Idol of Yogg-Saron, what it kind of reminds me of is the Infernals for Destrolox.
Right.
That's what it
Yeah.
reminds me of. That's why I'm looking at going. I think that could be really, really strong for Mythic Plus.
Mhm.
Because I mean, if you're able to get, let's see, mind. So every Mind Blast, you're gonna, let's say you have 5 things targeted with Vampiric Touch. Every Mind Blast, there's 5 Shattering Apparitions minimum, 10 maximum. So all you got to do is cast 5 Mind Blast, and you could potentially get an Idol of Yogg-Saron. Probably every 7 to 8, and with
Well, keep in mind that Divine Plague also summons Shadow Apparitions as well,
true, yes. So
and
there's that
Void
as
Bolt,
well.
and
Yep.
Void Bolt from Void Eruption. So you can get you get Mind Blasts that are instant cast, Divine Plague, Void Bolt. You're gonna get that 50 stack in like no time at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think you should have a thing from beyond at least every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So, and especially with the crits, having a chance for 2 to come out. Yeah, no,
And
I like that build.
it lasts 20 seconds. You can have an uptime of like 2 per minute.
Yep. Now, I will say this, and you're not going to like this, but I still don't think I like Shadow Priest for Mythic Plus, though. I still think you're looking at way too much ramp up time. Um, the only
It's gonna be one
thing,
of those,
the
be
only,
one of those things where it's higher keys only.
yeah, the only thing that I think makes up for it is that Shadow Crash to get
Right.
4 Vampiric Touches out at once. I think that's good. That's very helpful to get that more burst damage. But yeah, it feels like there's a lot of ramp up time. I think I think they could, especially depending on like a single target build. I think Shadow Priests are going to be in a great spot for raiding. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I think Shadow Priests are going to struggle in lower keys, just because by the time you're ready to start doing your damage, everything's going to be dead.
yeah.
But I think in higher keys, they look like they could be pretty strong in some higher keys. But I mean, the level
We'll
like
see.
10 to 15, it's gonna kind of depend on the group DPS. If the Shadow Priest is the one that's carrying the group, then they could do some good damage. But
Yeah,
if you have high DPS that are doing that range of keys, I don't see stuff living for that long. Um,
yeah,
I think a Shadow Priest is going to need stuff to live for at least 30 to 45 seconds on a pull to really start doing some big damage.
yeah. I agree.
Um,
That's it.
yep, that is our Shadow Priest deep dive. Um, we will, of course, be doing more. Not sure which ones we'll do next. Just kind of depends on schedule, what gets released, what gets changed. We
Yeah,
might we might take another look at Havoc DH. Not necessarily anytime soon, but maybe as we
but
get
eventually,
closer to the launch of Dragonflight, we'll
'cause
probably
they got changed
yeah
quite a bit
we'll
actually.
probably go back and touch up stuff. Any of these classes that we do that they make big changes to, we'll probably go back and touch up on it. Maybe we'll just do one video where we kind of touch up on the changes for each of the classes. Just
Yeah,
have
just go
one
real
big
quickly.
yeah, just have one big video where we kind of touch up on it. If we have a couple of classes that have a lot of big changes, we might do a video that covers like a couple of those. But yeah, this is the changes. We'll hit those up at some point. Um, yeah, I think next we'll probably be targeting either Hunter or Mage. Probably next.
I was
Uh,
thinking Hunter Druid.
Hunter or Druid. Yeah, that might be good. Yeah, we'll have to still try to get with Lynch and see when he is available for a Hunter one. Druid, you and I can do that one for sure.
Yep, yep.
But yeah. Um,
Thank you all for watching.
yep. Again, you can check us out on Twitch. I am Twitch dot or slash TV or twitch.tv/Buckblind. Uh, Bioshock is twitch.tv/QQ_Bioshock. And you can follow me at Twitter on at BuckblindDH and on YouTube, where this will be posted at, which is Buckblind the DH. Or the Demon Hunter. Buckblind the Demon Hunter.
Hmm.
Uh,
We can leave our links to all that stuff in the description.
yep, the links will be in the description. Um, I have started putting these in a playlist, so if you're interested in any of our other class talent deep dives, feel free to check out what we've got. So far, we've got a Havoc Demon Hunter, although, again, like we said, a lot of those have changed. We've got a Vengeance Demon Hunter, we've got Brewmaster Monk, and a Windwalker Monk. So feel free to check those out. We'll be back with more, and appreciate y'all watching.
Bye.